This Insurgency Sandstorm mod is so good that it should be illegal. Star Wars Sagas, basically a Battlefront type experience but for the game Insurgency, is currently in active development with a public beta until October 25th. It's easily one of the best looking mods of its kind, and I'm just blown away by what the developers have achieved. Let's check it out. Now, I've been keeping an eye on the development of this mod, not just because it looks fantastic, but because I am seriously afraid that Disney is about to send in an army of lawyers to take it down, and I want to play it before that happens. At least the squad mod didn't use Star Wars in the title. Seriously, if the devs are watching this video, you guys better change the name to like Space Battles or something, because Disney don't play, and neither will anyone else if this project gets unalived. Now, clearly the devs of this mod have some skills. The quality of the assets rival EA's official Star Wars Battlefront games, and the composition of everything brings some very strong Star Wars feels. Blasters are deadly but inaccurate. The airstrikes and support vehicles are terrifying. Droids are, well, they're droids. And if somebody sat me down to play this game on a computer, I would have not guessed that it was a mod, nor that it was running on top of Insurgency Sandstorm. That is, aside from some of the lingering UI stuff. There are some common elements carried over from the vanilla game, like classes and weapon customization, but for the most part this mod has its own feel that is distinctly different. A lot of total conversion mods that you'll play for, say, like Fallout or something, still feel very much like cosmetic overhauls that don't really change much of the core mechanics. You could actually say that Galactic Contention, which is the Star Wars mod for Squad, kind of feels like Squad under the hood for the most part. And what's interesting is that the creator of Sagas is the same dev who created Galactic Contention. I don't know if he's getting better at modding or if Sandstorm is just a better modding platform than Squad, but the general polish and presentation of Sagas feels far beyond that of Squad's. That said, Galactic Contention still has way more depth and content, but Sagas just looks the part even more and leverages Sandstorm's faster gameplay for a well-paced experience. Gunfights are fast, but the TTK doesn't feel instantaneous like it does in a standard PvP match. The weapons have an ammo pool that you can augment with an attachment, but there's no reloading. Instead, they've borrowed the Battlefront system of overheating with an active reload style window to hit R and speed up the cooldown. Miss that window and your gun will take even longer to cool down. Most of the weapons feel pretty lethal, even at longer ranges, and the shotgun in particular hits like a truck. Now, full dismemberment of droids and lore-accurate battle damage for humanoid characters is in the works, which is going to be dope, but for now, I am still pretty happy seeing bodies ragdoll and fly several feet when they get shot. Obviously, the overall combat isn't quite on par with EA's Battlefront games in terms of its depth or polish, but if you're looking for a Battlefront experience with much more of a tactical gameplay feel in a modern package, Sagas is pretty much it. My very first match was one of the large-scale attack and defend modes on Geonosis, and it was crazy watching orbital strikes rain down. That's one of the things that this mod does really well. The theatrics and the scale of everything just feels gigantic, but the gameplay is still very focused, kind of like Insurgency. On Utapau, there are several vantage points above the objective areas that you can access, and just watching the exchanges of blaster fire was like watching one of the movies. But then being able to shoot down at the enemy team brought the experience home. Picking off droids as an officer with my little pistol 30 feet over their head was a pure dopamine rush. It was also amazing to watch my teammates unload their entire ammo reserves at the enemies while they were up in their perches. Every map seems to have a unique design element as well. On Utapau, the elevated platforms. On Mos Eisley, it's the access points between the buildings that give you flanking options. And on Geonosis, the scattered vehicle debris and bodies gives you tons of interesting cover when trying to cross otherwise open areas. I use the cover a ton when flanking to stay concealed and surprise the enemy from behind. It sounds like everyday FPS stuff, but the charm of it being in the Star Wars universe and looking this good still hasn't quite worn off on me. It also helps that the maps are just generally really well designed. Now, honestly, it's bewildering how this mod looks so much better than the officially developed maps for Sandstorm. Geonosis in particular is just stunning with a rolling desert landscape that just goes on forever. There's some obvious seams and repeating assets here and there, but comparing the overall presentation of the map to even Sandstorm's best looking maps, it's almost hard to believe that they're running in the same game engine. Now, a downside with this mod is that in its current state, and again, it is a beta, it does lack content. There's a handful of maps currently playable, including Geonosis, Mos Eisley, and Utapau, and there's some other in-development maps like Yavin 4 and Camino. But maps aside, the real depth issues is just the weapon variety. Each side has 6 classes to choose from, but there's really only one weapon per class. And they all get one variant that changes some attributes, which mainly serve as kind of a fire select option to the base weapon. And the weapon attachments also don't seem to do much aside from giving you a magnified view or some simple recoil mitigation. As much as I like the gameplay of Sagas, it is hard to deny that once you've played a few matches, you've pretty much gotten a grip on every single weapon in the game. The new gadgets, like the support's dome shield, are pretty dope though. Most of the other gadgets do just feel like cosmetic reskins of Sandstorm's grenades and utility items. Now, if you're a big Star Wars Battlefront fan, you might notice that there's no heroes here. That could be good or bad depending on what you want from a Star Wars combat game. The boots on the ground soldier versus soldier combat is great to see, but when you compare it to Battlefront, Darth Vader and Luke Skywalker charging in a battle surrounded by clones and droids, it hits different for sure. Oh crap, that's Grievous, he's doing his move! Get him, clones! Oh, he's dead. Then again, I always found it kind of annoying that so much of Battlefront just becomes a rush to get the best heroes versus just settling in and playing your respective class in the best way possible. So in some ways I can absolutely see the appeal of it just being a soldier versus soldier fight. Now, another area that this mod is lacking, and again, it is a beta, is performance. The visuals really do look fantastic, especially when compared to base Insurgency, but I can't help but feel that came at a price. I was having some frequent stutters and frame drops while playing. It could have been my ping to the server at around 100 milliseconds, and it could have been Sandstorm just doing weird Sandstorm stuff, but I'm getting the impression that the mod could definitely use some optimization. The download for Geonosis alone is 3 gigabytes, so I'm sure there's some pretty big texture files in there, and streaming those textures might not be super streamlined. Beyond the hitching though, the mod seems to run pretty much as well as the base game, and I didn't experience low FPS other than technical issues while playing. So if it wasn't obvious at this point in the video, I'm pretty much blown away by how cool this mod is. I did some digging and I couldn't find any evidence of the modders doing weird things like ripping assets from official Star Wars games or anything like that, but just the fact that it's all basically Star Wars puts a big target on its back. At least galactic contention has been around for years at this point, and that is also inarguably a Star Wars experience. So hopefully that's a good sign for the future of Sagas, but having the Star Wars name in the title is generally a big no-no. So fingers crossed that this one sticks around, and if you don't think it's going to, well, you better get in and play it now. If you guys enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave me a like, subscribe for more content like it, and ding that notification bell to beat the YouTube algorithm with me. And up next, check out the Star Wars Galactic Contention mod for Squad. It is also incredibly impressive, and it does it on a different scale and feel than this mod, which you might prefer. You have options now, which is great. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. This is Level Cap, signing off.